You mentioned mood, and I was fascinated by that's not a big part of the book, but it is in the book. And there's this sentence in the book that basically you can design a mood by defining the future. And I find that to be fascinating. I just find that to be so, it seems so powerful.
It was for me. I really got this information from a fellow named Fernando Flores in a business called Business Design Associates. I told you I take a lot of seminars in my quest, and this was coming out of his seminar. He was formerly a finance minister in Chile during the Allende regime, and when Pinochet came to power, he was in prison. He then went, and he's a linguistics specialist. And he says we create ourselves a language. And unfortunately, a lot of people aren't very rigorous in terms of how they use language, and it can create a lot of misery. And to me, it is important that happy and joyful are all important, but they're moods. They come and go. Sadness, shame. They are moods, and they do come and go. And you cannot necessarily be governed by them. Because really what they are is an interpretation of how you see the future. Well, if you buy that, if you understand that, that means that by virtue of how you hold the future in your head, you can design a mood. So in my life, for me, my end goal is not to be happy. That's not what I'm about. My goal in life as I reach this age and stage in my life is to be at peace, to be fulfilled, and to be satisfied. Those are outer directed things. Yeah. In terms of how I measure my life, it's my value to people. Mm-hmm. The reason I wrote a book, the reason I was a teacher, the reason and when you look back, I didn't realize it at 25, but as I grew to understand that importance, sitting in that room in David Halberstam's book, that was my calling. I was to be of value to people. And that will be true of my next stage of life as well, too. To my family, to my friends, to in those days, my customers, to everybody. That's the value of a life. And that's how I think I will find fulfillment and peace and satisfaction.
Mm. You remind me, I had a conversation with Tom Rath, whose latest book is really about don't pursue happiness, pursue contribution. What's your greatest contribution? Isn't that powerful?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Totally. And true. But unfortunately, in my case, when I was chasing earnings per share and 50% growth rate, I mean, that was my undoing. Yeah. Chasing money, chasing the wrong thing. Not that we don't need a profit, right, and not a reasonable profit, but not overwhelmingly to the point where it distorts.
Yeah, I have delayed here, and I hope we have time to talk about your relationship with Tom Schwartz. Is that how you say his name?
It is.
Someone said, "Show me your friends, I'll show you your future." In other words, there are these people around us, and you said in the book that Tom was really so, complimentary, so instrumental in the growth of the company. Talk to me about that relationship.
As I said, when you look behind the scenes, in my view, rarely do you find a command control guy on a white horse coming in to save the day. What you find generally in a family and in a business, in the United States government, you will find a couple, maybe even more than a couple of people who respect each other, who take care of each other, who are not competing against each other, who complement each other. In the case of Tom, it was an extraordinary guy. I learned an immense amount from him. And he was there to compliment me in so many ways. The business would never have been as successful had it not been for that 20-year relationship. A wonderful man, outstanding father, just a wonderful citizen, blessed to have his friendship for all these years, and a critical part of the success of the business. And it extended to the next 10 people. We were together for 20, 25 years, almost at least 20 years we were together before we got bought out and people started to build other careers elsewhere, and I had to build a new team. But those 20 years were glorious. The joy of being in business with people that you love and you trust. There wasn't anything I felt that we couldn't do and get through together. And it was Tom and all of the people around. Tom hired a lot of the key people in the book that you'll find that went on to make major contributions to the business. And we just got along well together. We loved each other. We loved what we were doing. We won together, we lost a little bit together, we cried together, and we laughed together.
Yeah. Fantastic. I think sometimes we miss that a little bit when we get all caught up in getting stuff done.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you got to get stuff done. Don't get me wrong, but well, what should I have asked you, Bob? What do you want to talk about that I didn't ask you about?
I think I covered a lot. I think that if I were to leave, I would say that I think be crisp. Things I've learned that I would pass along. Be crisp about your purpose in life, both as a business as well as a human being. I think pay a lot of attention to trust. All good relationships exist with trust, and without trust, almost all relationships fail. Business, families, they are really about people getting along, coordinating action together and living together and getting things done together and solving problems together. And that requires a high element of trust. And in the book, I go into some great detail about how you know that you can be trusted yourself, that you're trustworthy, and how you can evaluate trust in others. And I've placed that at a high degree. And then teamness, I think, is important. And teams exist everywhere, and they are the secret. You know, we're social animals. We do things together in groups. The business we had was not individual scientists working alone in cubbies. We were on the front line with 5 million customers day in and day out, and thousands of stores far-flung all over the world. And so that required a lot of trust, a lot of coordination, a lot of communication, a lot of high touch. And that was my experience, and that's what I would leave people with in terms of what I've learned over the last 50 so on years.
Yes. Yes. Well, thanks for sharing your wisdom. I wish you well in the next iteration and then in the next dream of what, what that's about for you. But thank you so much for your time today.
Dan, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciated the time.
All right.
Thank you. My
Very good.
pleasure.
Take care now.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.